Hey, welcome everybody. Listen, we have a special edition for you right now, and joining me in studio, coming all the way from Israel. Actually, he's here in California right now. Please welcome David Tao from the Balagan Connection. David, great having you here, and man, so much going on.
Well, I can't say I'm really excited to be here. I should be back there, and what's going on there is very harsh. But thank you for having me, and I think there's quite a few things that we need to talk about what's going on there and what it means both there and here.
Yeah, and there's, unfortunately, as you know, and pretty much every Jewish person alive knows, well, most Jewish people are admitting to it, not all of them, is the anti-Semitism is increasing throughout the world. We're experiencing it here. We have more comments on anti-Semitism now than we've ever had in 30 years prior.
I think the statistics have gone through the roof, and anti-Semitism, which by definition means hatred of the Jewish people, has lifted up its head again and has become violent and public, which is something. I mean, there's always been anti-Semitism, but it's been kept underneath. People have no problem now talking about anti-Semitism in a very public manner, including congressmen and women, and on different sides.
Movie stars and the whole bit. So we're going to get to, I want to ask you, how did we get here? But before we go there, I want to ask you this, because I think this, anybody who cares, anybody who gets the Bible, who actually believes the Bible is true, which we're now finding out is being exposed that not many who call themselves Christians even believe the Bible is true. But I know most people, almost everybody who watches this channel believes the Bible is true. But what I want to get to is right now, before we get to how did we arrive here today, is how do Israelis feel about what's going on the inside of Israel and what they see going on the outside?
Yeah, so there is a huge disconnect we feel between the way we see, feel, and experience what's going on and what the world is portraying. And let's see if I can kind of connect both sides. Let's start off with the beginning. Israel is bleeding. I mean, if you want to go physical, think about a terrible, terrible accident or a terrible, terrible attack. We're still bleeding. We're binding our wounds. Inside Israel, one of the things that I think people are forgetting is, for us, this is very personal. This isn't an event that happened on the other side of the world. This isn't a television show. This isn't, the way I like to say it, in the galaxy far, far away. This, for us, is up close and personal. We all know people who were killed. We all know hostages. I mean, every Israeli knows somebody who is a hostage inside Gaza right now. Everybody knows a mother, a grandmother, a child who was killed. And we all have sons, fathers, uncles that are in the battle right now, which means it's not something on the, how do you say, the documentary level. It is a very deeply personal event that's going on for us. And the way we see it is that, I'll give you an illustration, okay? You've got a house. You put a garden in front of the house, and you put a fence around your house, and you create an environment for you and your children and your wife and your parents to live comfortably. And somebody comes into your house, rapes your wife on the living room floor, okay? Kills one child, grabs the other child by the hair, grabs your mother by the hair, and disappears into the night. And now what do you do? Now what do you do? Personally, physically, what do you do? Do you sit and start talking about, oh, let's have a discussion about this? Or do you take your shotgun and you go across the street to find whoever took your parents, whoever took your children? And when you go over there, nothing is going to stand between you and the people who did this terrible, terrible tragedy to you. Nothing's going to stand between you. And when I say it like this, it seems very reasonable. Anybody who's got a family, it sounds reasonable. But, I mean, we are now at that point where we're looking for the people who took our children, literally took our children. And we will make sure that something like that never happens again. So that's our side of it. It seems very, very simple. It seems very, very true. And it seems reasonable that we're going to go in and make sure not all of the Palestinians, that the Hamas will never be able to pull off something like this again. That evil mindset, that evil virus that kind of inflicted a lot of people in Gaza, not everybody, but a lot of them, will not be able to rear its head on the other side of the border. That seems normal for us. And then we hear the rest of the world saying, think about this, be nice to them. They're having a hard time, so let's help them overcome it. Maybe it didn't even happen. We're actually hearing things.
I've seen it. I want to ask you about that in just a second, and proportionate response.
Yeah, and okay, so when you go over there, don't use both barrels of the shotgun. Let's see if I can give you a small 22 to make sure you don't make too many people feel bad. And my children are in a tunnel somewhere in there. My grandmother, I don't know what's happening to her. And you're telling me to be nice and proportionate? I'm not going in for revenge. I'm not going in to get anything. I'm going in to bring my people out and to make sure nobody does this to my children ever again. And the world is saying, only 1,000 died on your side, so let's count how many are dying on the other side and have proportionality. We don't understand this. I mean, if it was your children, you wouldn't be counting how many people stand between you and your children on the other side. And if they put 1,000 people between you and your child, you'd go through 1,000 people. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to us to see the world reacting like this. And I'm going to say carefully, not only the world that hates us, because there are people that hate us, okay? Don't forget, we're Jews. Don't forget, we have hatred of the Jews in our DNA. But the people who love us and have said that they loved us and said that they supported us for years and years, and and where are their voices right now? And that's what's got us all surprised.
It's very troubling. So I look at it from my perspective, and I keep hearing there needs to be a proportionate response. Look what Israel has done, and anybody who looks at the facts knows that Hamas and these terrorist groups, they put civilians in harm's way. They use a hospital as cover for their rocket launching machines and everything else. When I look at it from proportionate response, and this is something that I've told people, I said, okay, if you want to do that, then prior to 2005, Israelis would have been going into weddings in Gaza. They would have been going into into Arab neighborhoods and blowing themselves up. They would have been shooting rockets back into Gaza. But and as I also watch it, David, the other thing is, and I want to get to this for just a minute because of a ministry that you're involved in. And I think, and I want to get here, and then we're going to go to the second half. But this is so neat. I'm watching over in Israel. What people here in America don't understand is, look, food has now become a problem. Supply chains are a problem. Having blankets is a problem. All of a sudden, soldiers or anybody going into the battle, they don't have the armor, the body armor that they need. They don't have canteens. There's so many things that we don't think of, but there's support for people like that. And
So think about this, and again, let's go. What I'm here to do more than anything is to remind people that it's not a documentary channel. It's not something that's happening in Indochina, okay? And for us, this is up close and very personal. And if you personalize this, a lot of things will be a lot clearer. If you thought about if this is your children, okay? And when you go back to take your children from wherever this gang lord is hiding them, okay? And he puts civilian people between you and your children, you're going to go through the civilian people to get to your children. I mean, if it was your son or your daughter, nothing would stop you from that. Why do people believe that we should stop? Not from killing. I don't want to kill anybody. And I'm sorry for anybody that stands between me and finding those hostages right now. But if you're going to stand between me and finding those hostages, and we told them, get out of the way. Get out of the way. We are coming for the hostages. Let's make this clear. Get out of the way. And they said, no, we're going to stand here and we're going to make sure you can't get to your children. We can't make sure you can't get to your women. That is something that we don't understand, and that lack of understanding. So what we've done now, we were surprised. Let's make this clear. And maybe this is another thing. We were surprised. We should have locked the door. We should have turned on the alarm system. We should have done all kinds of things that we didn't do. And we will forever have to live with the shame and the sense of we dropped the ball and allowed something terrible to happen. But let me make another thing clear, and I think we've said this before. Even if I didn't lock the door to my house, that doesn't mean that somebody has a right to come in and rape my wife. And when somebody does come in to rape my wife, the fact that the door was locked or unlocked is not the moral issue. The fact that he came in and raped my wife is the moral issue. Don't blame me for not locking the door. Blame the person who did it.
And I've seen this every year. I want to ask you about this because what you are saying, this word needs to get out. And I'm so thankful to be able to call you a friend and being able to know you for several years and being able to give you a platform like this. However, the word needs to get out. It needs to be on more than just Hope for Our Times. So you have the Balagan Connection, right? And people can follow you at the Balagan Connection.
Balagan means mix up, mess up, and this is definitely a mix up and a mess up. And my job is to connect the different aspects. I've been doing this for years. Connect the different aspects of what Israel is, past, present, future, what Israel is, military, secular, and biblical, if you want to go that. And I've been connecting that. So the Balagan Connection, you can see it here. And the Balagan Connection is a channel where you can connect to this. And maybe this is a good place to say something, I think, a little bit deeper. And you would be the first one, Tom, to agree with me on this one. This is not only a war on the ground for the hostages in Gaza. What I'm seeing playing out more than anything is a war on truth. A war on the actual concept of truth. A war on the idea that there is truth and there is falsehood. And this is being mixed up, has been mixed up in Western civilization, Western culture for a long, long time. And what's happening now is because truth is a relative factor, because truth is not right or wrong, because everything is how do you say, on the spectrum. I like that one, on the spectrum, okay? There's no truth. And in an environment there's no truth, anything can be true and anything can be false. And we live in a world where truth is determined by the amount of likes that somebody has put on the social media. Mm-hmm. And the fact that a lot of people like something doesn't make it true. The fact that a lot of people like something doesn't make it right. And we're living in a world where likes determine truth and what is right and what is wrong. That is a deep, I'm going to say, corrosive element in the defining factor of what a culture is. Mm-hmm. Because if the how do you say, the democracy of ideas is so wide that everything is acceptable, and we're seeing this in other ways, then somebody who walks into a house and sticks a baby into an oven, and let's make this clear, yes, it did happen, I can show you the video, okay? And let's make this true. If somebody does that, and then somebody else tries to save that baby for the next time, and you can put those two on the same moral level, then there's something basically wrong with the concept of what truth is and what falsehood is. And I can't help it because most of the people watching this are Bible-believing people. It's not by chance that Jesus says that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And if you want to fight Jesus, if you want to fight God, you do that by fighting truth. You do that by fighting the concept of truth. And it's not by chance that Satan is called the great deceiver.
The father of lies.
The father of lies. And a very interesting thing that I picked up a couple of days ago is that if you go into the Bible, the word truth is mentioned 333 times in the New King James. It's amazing that truth is such a basic element of what the Bible comes to teach humanity about. And what we've done in our culture right now has thrown the truth out the window and turned everything into relevant. And I think this is the beginning of something much deeper.
It is. So I want to briefly just mention this because the Balagan Connection, listen, it is you can watch all of David's videos, everything he posts. We post them at Hope for Our Times also, but go to Balagan Connection on his YouTube channel, share, like, subscribe to it because it helps get the truth out there. It is a war on truth. And also, listen, this is a shirt, Balagan Connection shirt, and the reason why we have these here is a couple of different things we're doing. Hope for Our Times is not getting a penny off of these. All the proceeds are going to the Balagan Connection, also Gihon Springs, which David can tell you about in just a minute. But all of the proceeds are going there. People are saying, what can we do to fight this war on truth? What can we do to stand with Israel, to stand with what we know is true in the Bible? And this is just a really simple way. These shirts, they're available in the Hope for Our Time store. Again, all of the proceeds go to the Balagan Connection and Gihon Springs. And we appreciate any donation that you could give to Hope for Our Times to help us keep going forward. But and I have some more questions. I want to ask you how we arrived here in a minute. But first, can you just describe Gihon Springs to everybody so they understand the importance of what it is that's going on and what we can do?
The Gihon Springs is the spring of fresh water that bubbles out in the middle of Jerusalem underneath Mount Moriah, the mountain of God. So what Gihon Springs does is basically funnels support for different Christian organizations, and I'm stressing the fact that they are Christian ministries in Israel. So ministries like Netiva, which is supporting soldiers. In the past, it's supporting soldiers before they go into the army. Right now, supporting soldiers in the battle itself. Printing presses that print Christian books in Hebrew. Different ministries. And the Balagan Connection is part of the affiliation of Gihon Springs. So if you want to support me personally and this truth dynamic, so Gihon Springs would probably be the best word to do. It is actually was created by Jeff Johnson, who was the pastor of Calvary Chapel Downey. So check it out and kind of put that together.
Yeah. So and also I think this is really neat too, with Netiva, which was your brother's,
Netiva,
right?
yes.
And it's all these things are connected. Is that, and I think you guys will really appreciate that. Is your brother started that ministry 20 years ago to minister to Messianic Jews who were going into the IDF to serve in the Israeli army. So Messianic Jews, for those of you who don't know, are Jews who come to faith in Christ. And right now, you pointed this out to me a few weeks ago, he has trained up 20 years of soldiers who know Jesus, who are now on the front lines and working with the people, and people are scared. The soldiers are scared, and they have the opportunity to share Jesus with them. And I think there's going to be many people that are coming to faith in Christ through this. And so I'm glad, David, because people are constantly asking me, what can I do? And this is such a simple way, everybody, just through these T-shirts and Gihon Springs to be able to say, I can do this. And so go there, check it out. Everything is on Hope for Our Times, all the information that you need.
The social media, I want to stress the fact that the social media is winning this battle for the other side. And again, likes have become the new Bibles. I mean, if you he's got a lot of likes, he's got less likes. In order to fight this battle, which is why I'm here, this is why I'm not in uniform on a tank. Well, main reason is because I'm too old. But what I'm trying to say is, you need to be, and I'm talking to the people who are watching this, need to be a part. Take the pieces of truth. Hope for Our Time is spreading the truth. I'm spreading the truth. Others are spreading the truth. Help that truth spread the way that the deceiver is using social media to spread his lies. Spread, share, comment, get into the algorithms, and we're talking, media stuff. Get into the algorithms. Be a part of this war on truth and this war on God's people and this war on everything that you hold dear. Be a part of this war by spreading the truth. Not only saying it, but it's got to spread as wide as possible.
It absolutely does, and that's the biggest battle that we have. And you said it. We've had this conversation before about the war on truth and propaganda. And right when this happened, the day October 7th, it was October 7th here, I think by then it was already nighttime in Jerusalem where you were. You had said, it's this war on truth. We know that's going to be the bigger battle when start seeing what happens in Gaza. All the media outlets are going to be blaming Israel. We see anti-Semitism all over the world. So when an Israeli right now is looking out at the rest of the world, the jobs are gone. The
economy's on standstill.
And how long is that going to be on standstill? And then they have family members dying. They're going into battle. And then you have the Western media that is saying, oh, those bad Jews. So as an Israeli.
I'll give you another example, okay? Everybody's yelling, ceasefire, ceasefire. On the 6th of October, there was a ceasefire. We didn't break the ceasefire. The day before this happened, Israel wasn't firing in anywhere. Now it's all about the ceasefire, okay? And again, it's how you kind of relevate. I need to tell somebody, yes, we had a ceasefire. It wasn't broken by us, okay? And here's the problem, and the deceiver is using this as much as possible. So yeah, let's spread the word.
Absolutely. Okay, real quick, David, people also want to know this one. How did this happen? You mentioned, okay, maybe we didn't have the alarm set. Maybe certain things, to just put it in practical terms. But people are wondering how it happened. It came out the heels of Feast of Tabernacles. The guard's a little bit down. There was a sense of peace that was developing within some of the government in Israel.
Well, I can use a couple of terms, and I think there was deception on a couple of layers, and I'm going to see if we'll use some military terms. There was deception on a tactical level, and we can talk about that. There was deception on a strategic level. We can talk about that. But there was also deception on a spiritual level, and all of those created a sense of quietness, a sense of, the day before Pearl Harbor. I mean, think about what we're talking about. And that was something that we're going to have to deal with later. But let's talk about the spiritual level. The Western world has forgotten that there is such a thing called evil in the world. We can't wrap our minds around the kind of evil that we saw there. So we tended not to think that it's even there. It's all relative. We can all talk about this. Let's do kumbaya. I mean, it's all about, and we forget that if you are a Bible believing and reading person, you know that there is such a thing as evil and there is such a thing as good. We forgot that. So that's one level. On a strategic level, we thought that we were getting through to the Palestinians. They're being more progressive and more pragmatic, and they want to talk about how many this. And we let them pull us into this feeling that the last round, one of the things that a lot of people, we've had a couple of rounds of fighting with Gaza. The last one that happened 2 years ago, I don't know if you remember, it was a jihadic Islam, the Islamic Jihad that fired rockets into Israel. Israel retaliated against the rockets, and Hamas didn't take part in it. I don't know if you remember that. Hamas didn't fire any rockets. And that gave us a sense of feeling that Hamas is becoming more realistic, and they want to work, they want to take care of their people. Now we know that was part of the deception. So on that level, there was a big deception that led us to feel that there's something happening that we can live relatively quiet. On a tactical level, we made the ultimate mistake, like Goliath, of relying on our armor. We put on this armor and this armor. We put up fences. We put up sensors. We put up this. And anybody who knows anything about military tactics, that no matter what obstacle you actually put up, any obstacle can be overcome. You have to be able to bring firepower to bear on the obstacle if somebody tries to break through it. And we did not do that. So we left the obstacle. One of the things I found out, and again, a lot of conspiracy theories are going around, but because the obstacle was so big and so sophisticated and so technological and everything, one of the classic things that I've done on the Gaza fence every time I was there, and I've been there for years and years and years, that at sunrise, because sunrise is always the traditional place where an attack comes in, everybody gets up an hour before sunrise, gets all geared out, and everybody is in positions, in defensive positions, in any outpost as the sun comes up. Meaning nobody's in bed at that time, because you know that if it's going to come there, and you want to have as much as your forces ready to react immediately. Because we had such a sophisticated fence and so many cameras and so many things, they stopped doing that.
Wow.
They stopped doing that. And because they were relying on a tactical level, they were relying on the fence and relying on the sensors and relying on everything. We figured, okay, they can't surprise us. So the guys were in bed. And when they broke into the outposts on the border, the guys were in bed because there were two girls watching the cameras, and they actually saw it. They saw a tractor drive up, but nobody thought they'd come in with 3,000 people. And again, that's part of the whole dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back at the Bible and realize that you have a case when you look at Babylon and the Medo-Persian Empire breaking in the time of Belshazzar, what happens? They're just relaxed. They think they got the strong force. Every barrier that's ever been built has eventually been broken through by the enemy. I also think of this. You look at David in the Old Testament, he's going up against Goliath. What's David say? This armor isn't going to save me. I'm going to trust in the Lord. And he took out Goliath. But the opposite, men trusted horses and chariots and their armies. And I believe, this is me personally, God is, when I look at the Bible, God is moving Israel to a place of surrender to him. That day is coming. But David, that's all the time we have here for right now. Do you have any final thing you want to say to everybody? And again, make sure you go to Balagan Connection and check out, listen, all the shirts that are available, 100% of the proceeds go to Balagan Connection and also Gihon Springs. So don't forget that. David.
Okay, yes, and this support is important, but I'm going to say, get the truth out. Okay, the truth has to be as viral as the deception. We need to get this out. And I think that is probably one aspect. The other aspect is again, this is a spiritual war as much as it is a physical war. And the world, history, God is looking how you react to, support, and be a part of God's chosen people. Don't forget, we're the GKs. We're God's kids. And we're not always right, and we don't always do everything right, but we are the apple of God's eye. And God is watching how the Western world, the church, Christians, and everybody else is reacting to what is happening to God's people. And I think this is the wind that is going to blow the chaff from the wheat. This is what's coming through.
I do too. I think it's being separated right now.
Yeah.
And God is using Israel and the Jew to separate, to make his separation. Listen, also, David Tao will be at Brandon Holt House Church Saturday, November 18th. I'm going to be there Saturday also, along with Billy Crone, Brandon, Olivier Melnick. We're all going to be there, and Bill Koenig's going to be there. It's going to be almost the only place, apart something like I might do, that you will find an opportunity to gather together, and the messages are all going to be the truth about Israel. So if you can't make it to Brandon Holt House Church, you can register online. Also, all of the proceeds for Brandon's conference, all of them are going to support one of the organizations that he's connected with in Israel too. So it's great opportunities, friends. This is how do we do this? And again, make sure you check out the Balagan Connection, like, share, subscribe there. And the shirts, again, go to the Hope for a Time store. God bless you guys. See you next time.